In a matter of 3 days since my last upload here on this channel, we have went from Ye putting out his next album, Vultures 2, exclusively on his website for $20, to now not only putting Vultures 2 on streaming apparently this weekend, but also releasing Donda 2, an older album from his catalog that was worked on and abandoned in 2022. He's apparently going to put that thing on streaming also. Ye and Ty Dolla $ign just performed at Rolling Loud, and a lot of people thought, because like I said, we got all this news about the album releasing this weekend, that this event was going to be the launching point. They were going to announce the album coming out tonight or tomorrow, and everyone would just rejoice, and we'd just all have a great time. That is clearly not the case. However, it would not be a Kanye rollout without the various ups and downs, without it ultimately being, let's say it how it is, a clusterfuck. But setting aside Rolling Loud being a disappointment and no announcement officially being made at that show, so many sources have come forward and said this album is dropping, Vultures 2 specifically, is dropping this weekend. And it's Thursday night, we got 72 hours, 3 days, it's gonna be interesting. But before Vultures 2 drops allegedly this weekend, I'm gonna get you guys all caught up with all the news you need to know regarding the album, as well as the album's release that have occurred in the past week. So as we do on this channel, I'm going to be doing a rundown of all the events chronologically that have happened since my last update video pertaining to Vultures 2. But in order to get this video out to you guys this morning as early as I possibly can, I recorded the next part of this video just hours before Rolling Loud went down. Now, all the info I covered isn't really altered by the events of Rolling Loud. Nothing was really proven false or anything. But I just want to be transparent about it and let you guys know. So past Casey, take it away. We last left off with Monday's video covering the Phoenix listening party that Ye and Ty had in Arizona. And it was a pretty fucking hype event because they played some Vultures 2 tracks. However, in between the two LPs, we had some pretty big events go down in the Ye sphere. First off, right after the Phoenix show, we got some insider information that I think may be up for interpretation. Someone essentially asked this anonymous yet verified source about Field Trip, to which the person said Tyler, the Creator, had a verse on the song. However, in those messages I just showed you guys, the person asking the source, the question is like, oh, is there one more person on the song? And jumping ahead a little bit to the San Francisco show, we would hear Kodak Black on Field Trip with a verse. So, I don't know. I just reported it because I'm a huge fucking Tyler, the Creator fan, but I don't know. I put an asterisk by this one. Monday night, Ye would take to Instagram, essentially celebrating Carnival being the #1 song on the charts, but in celebrating that, he also took the moment to basically say fuck you to all of his haters, from Adidas to Hailey Bieber, and most interestingly out of this whole post, in my opinion, to Drake. He said at the end of the post in the caption, fuck Drake for taking Dirk right at the beginning of the Vultures rollout. And then of course, I'll come back to y'all if I think of any more fuck yous. But this is interesting because Kanye seems to be very high on Dirk, yet he hasn't really been at any of the listening parties since the official rollout started. I know December was a different story in my opinion, but since they really decided Volume 1, Volume 2 and had the show in Chicago and everything, Dirk has been nowhere to be seen, and Ye is basically saying here that that is Drake's doing. Drake would later respond to this the night of the San Francisco LP last Tuesday with the 50 Cent like, fuck me, what the fuck did I do? But I don't know. Low-key, that's funny as fuck in a very mature way to respond with a joke, but we all know he's gonna come at Ye with some lame-ass sneak diss, so I'm not gonna give him any fucking credit. But listen, we gotta talk about this YesJulz situation. I understand a lot of people are sick of hearing about it. I honestly am sick of fucking hearing about it too, and I low-key was like semi-involved in it. Like I said, I know a lot of people don't give a fuck, but I was kind of involved, so I am going to talk about it. If you just want to get over to the music news, go ahead and skip ahead. We know YesJulz, she came back on the Yeezy team. She was pretty active in 2018. Former manager of 070 Shake, which Ye fans would know from the Wyoming Session albums. But like I said, she was around Ye in 2018 with the whole Uganda trip, which was a fucking shit show. But she came back around December-ish when they were having the first initial Vultures raves, and she wanted to get fans involved. That was her whole thing, being on the Yeezy team. She constantly talked about having fan involvement. First step of that initiative was getting a Kanye Discord. She was talking about where can I get a Kanye Discord, whatever, and everyone obviously recommended Good Ass Subs Discord because it's pretty much the most prominent and popular in the whole entire community. But that's how the connection started. And over the past months, with the Vultures 1 release and everything, some fans started turning on her and saying various things with accusations about her using fans for free labor, essentially, and dangling the opportunity of, well, I work for Yeezy, like, this could potentially get you a job, that type of thing, which a lot of people obviously didn't like. That's all their opinion, though. I wasn't involved in any of it, so I'm not going to make any declarative statement. But around this week, on March 11th, she started really being active on socials and tagging, like, Fortnite, like, we need to get the Yeezy army going, just honestly saying a lot of cringe shit, let's be real. But this is where I get involved, because Monday night, I got a DM from the Good Ass Sub Twitter account saying, like, yo, we got a big opportunity for you. We want to talk to you about it on Discord and get you on there and blah, blah, blah. And right from the start, I want to say, shout out my boy Undress Vestido, because he is the Spanish mod of Good Ass Sub, and he runs all the socials and everything. Really cool guy. Honestly helped me with a lot of info, especially towards this YesJulz situation, just understanding everything. I got permission from the mods to share these DMs, so I don't want you thinking like I'm fucking them over, going behind their back. Basically, YesJulz hit them and said, we want to get the top 20 people in the Kanye sphere, creators, if you will. I hate that term. I think it's cringe. And gather them to work on something, a big project that's collaborative, and get the people who can really work together and not be problematic. The top 20 executioners, as she put it. So myself and other prominent, talented YouTubers were reached out by the mod team, and basically from there, after they gave her the list, she's like, great, now can you gather, she wanted our names, our contact info with the phone and email, which makes sense, and then our zip code and sizing for clothes. And this is where shit gets fucking clearly shady in my eyes. As you guys saw there in the DM, she said, in case I can gift merch, in regards to asking for the sizing, no promises, which shows me two things. Number one, we're not going to get paid jack shit, except for maybe some merch, probably not, no promises. And number two, how the fuck would she send us any merch? She only has our zip codes. So I was already very sketched out by all of this, and I knew one of two things would happen. Number one, this whole shit of me sending my info obviously would go nowhere. And then number two, if it did, I would get myself in trouble right away by calling out some fucking bullshit, because my two heroes are CM Punk and George Carlin. But she really goes down the next day as she holds this Twitter space with a bunch of fan accounts. And this is where she says a lot of shit that pisses a lot of people off, while at the same exact time says a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, doesn't reflect well on her character, especially with the previous accusations of her using fans to essentially do her work for her, free labor. But she would say that Kanye is super against the album being on streaming and not changing his mind whatsoever. There's going to be no stream for Rolling Loud, and instead told a fan account, it's your duty, go find someone who's going to be there to stream it so we can plug their account and everyone can watch it. Like, or we can just, instead of relying on a fan to do it off their phone, how about the Yeezy team organizes a proper fucking stream? I don't know. One of the biggest artists in the world. Just an idea. But her main thing throughout this entire space, the main talking point she kept circling back to, was about making this Yeezy app, or should I say, having fans make the app for her. This is a direct quote that she said in this space. Just act like you work for Yeezy already, which is Kanye's news thing. It's Ye and News combined. Weird name. She said she wants to make a Yeezy office where Yeezy generals can go there and work. She wants to have this Yeezy coin designed, which fans get for doing labor, doing work, and they don't get paid actual money for their work. They get Yeezy coin, which is a currency for a game that's not even made yet. And with the Yeezy coin, they could get like fucking a Yeezy truck in a game that, by the way, is never going to be released. Like, come on. This is where I think I would have came in. She was talking about making a Yeezy affiliate program for people to, quote, earn, heavy on the quotations there, for sharing Yeezy content via affiliate links. She also encouraged fans here to put their own money into projecting Kanye ads / music videos on buildings and stuff. You guys may remember during the Vultures 1 rollout, some fans in Argentina did that, which is, you know, it's cool. But, like, encouraging fans to do it. It's one thing to be like, damn, that was awesome they did that on their own. But being like, yo, you guys should do that. Like, use your own money to do it. And also, they can't even do it the way she likes, by the way. She was going to put out a style guide for what fonts they should use and stuff for these projections that, by the way, Yeezy is not funding, she is not funding, it's out of the fans' pocket. What the fuck? Honestly, involving fans to a certain extent, it isn't a terrible idea, but legitimately having them do free labor for no monetary gain, and just dangling that Yeezy brand name over their heads, making them think that they could potentially get a job out of all of this. It's not only completely irresponsible, in my opinion, as a marketing strategy, but it is also idiotic. Overall, things got very weird and cult-like very fast, and Ye apparently got that vibe as well, as a few hours after the Twitter space, he would take to his Instagram story and put out this statement. We have decided to no longer have YesJulz involved in the rollout of Vultures. All the activity on her page with our fans in the past few days has been unauthorized. So we now understand that the whole talk about this Yeezy app was complete bullshit, not approved by Kanye, but also a lot of people are theorizing now that this whole anti-streaming campaign about releasing the album off streaming services and only on Ye's website for $20, a lot of people are saying that's bullshit as well. Considering the info we have about Ye's team now loading the album on streaming as I film this, as well as our knowledge about Julz having access to all of Kanye's social media accounts, a lot of people are thinking now that was solely YesJulz in the DMs interacting with fan accounts and promoting the anti-streaming talk. I don't know about this though, because Ye's DMs with Ye fanatics seemed very Ye coded with the verbiage, but we'll just have to see. I like what Dealey said about this whole entire situation on the Good Ass Sub Discord. He would essentially say that who he got info from about Ye's team going anti-streaming, releasing the album off streaming services, he said that person got the info from Julz. So we should just wait to hear from Ye and Ty publicly about the release, and I think that is the best way to handle all this as well. But now back to our normal Ye news, as right around the time that the Julz space happened, we had, honestly, some pretty bad info come from insiders. The first of which relating to the Kanye tour, the world tour that's allegedly being planned for this summer. Earlier this week, we heard that Ye had hired John Monopoly, his old manager, to come back on the team specifically to handle all the stuff going down with the tour. But we got some insight on this tour, as an insider would speak to Kara Lewis, the booking agent for the world tour, and they would say this: Ye wants all tour shows to just be listening parties. No performances. So that's pretty lame, and although the source is verified, I hope something changes there. I made a statement on Twitter the other day about how I feel like the listening parties, the mystique of them have kind of been ruined with Ye doing so much of them with music that's already released and not being, premiered. Still stand by those words, but also around the same exact time this morning with the Julz situation and then that news about the tour, Waterfalls hits us with some other depressing news about an overall lack of direction for Vultures 2. They would compare it to the rollout of Donda 2 and essentially say that the album is not finished, as Ye and Ty, they just keep making new ideas. I'm presenting the info as it came out, and certainly the way things are right now, the day of this filming, I'm filming right before Rolling Loud, doing the same exact thing I did on Monday so I can edit. Rolling Loud happens, do the coverage, and put it out for you guys. The info we have now about the album being finished and uploaded to streaming, it's just, entire situation's very weird. So a few hours go by after the Waterfalls news and the tour news, and Julz then, of course, gets fired, because this is all the same day as her Twitter space. People then are like, holy shit, what was her doing on Ye's socials, and what was Kanye himself speaking about the streaming situations? And then Vultures 2 starts getting loaded on the back end of Yeezy.com with a vinyl section and a CD section for fans to buy. It was taken down a few hours later, but that really made people go, holy shit, maybe it was Julz talking about releasing the album off streaming, as why would you have fans have the option to buy the vinyl and the CD if you're focused on solely selling digitally? So morale is up a tad as the San Francisco LP goes down on the 12th of March. And again, they started out playing Volume 1 tracks, went through the track list, same as Phoenix basically. And after King, they start playing Slide, and people are like, oh shit, here we go. It's quickly shut off, and we're all like, what the fuck? Kanye and Ty left the stage. Thankfully, it wasn't the end of the show. Ye and Ty returned, but this time, Ye essentially left so he can get his new jacket that says number 2. They then played a lot of Volume 2 tracks. I'm going to run through them real quick. Slide, Fried, which was formerly known as Enemies, Poppin' featuring Project Pat, Field Trip featuring Don Toliver, Playboi Carti, Lil Durk, and now we heard here for the first time that Kodak Black feature, Promotion featuring Future, Dead featuring Future and Lil Durk, and then Matthew featuring Northwest and Charlie Wilson. This is the first time that this was played at a public listening party other than the second rave back in December. After this, they played Kanye's hits, they played Ty's hits, they played their hits together, and then the show ended. From there, the next stop for fans was Rolling Loud. Looking forward to seeing what Ye and Ty do there. Is it a performance? Are they going to play solely the new album? Is it going to be a launching point for Volume 2's release? We didn't really know, but the day after the San Francisco show, the 13th of March, is when a lot of the songs expected on Volume 2 started appearing on TikTok and Instagram. Most were just fan rips, and you could hear the crowd. It was from the listening parties and everything, except for River. River was like very high studio quality. It's weird. With that being said, it was uploaded on the back end, so because it's not public yet, they were automatically syncing up to fan uploaded audios, if that makes sense. Claims were made on YouTube too, but as someone who uploads on YouTube, fraudulent claims are made all the time, so I'm not really going to cover those. But overall, the total list of tracks detected that people believe will be on Volume 2 were Worship featuring 070 Shake, Believer, Breast and Thighs, which was previously known as Fried, previously known as Enemies, song fucking title keeps changing, Poppin' featuring Project Pat, Everybody featuring Charlie Wilson, Promotion, IG Models, Field Trip, Slide, New Body, and River. Now we're gonna again have to jump ahead in the timeline. This is so fucking hard to cover, honestly, as you heard New Body at the end of that list, and you're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought the same thing, as Nicki Minaj obviously said she's not clearing her verse back in December, and we haven't heard of the song since. It hasn't been played at any of the listening parties or anything. But Joy Boy, aka Saint Leon, who has given us so much reliable information over the past, 5 months now, he would come forward and say this. There's a version of New Body, essentially, with somebody else on it. There's a new feature. And if it does release, it's gonna have somebody other than Nicki featured, most likely. So that really got people talking. I'm hoping for Doja Cat or Ice Spice. But once again, we have to go back in time now. I apologize. This has to be so fucking confusing. When fans were first detecting the songs on TikTok, D-Lee would come forward with some information, and it was fucking crazy. He basically said this. Vultures 2 is being loaded onto streaming. Will it come out? Who knows? But they have the credits cleared to upload on streaming. Last thing we heard, this shit was only going to be available on Kanye's website, so people were going crazy about this information, and also, a lot of people were calling bullshit until another source came forward backing up D-Lee. They are unnamed, they're anonymous, but the good-ass sub moderators have verified them as a source, and this anonymous source would say this. 4 songs are in the process of being loaded, the rest have already been processed and are ready for release. In a few hours after that statement, the same source would come forward and say that the album would be released at the latest Sunday. They can't say 100%, but Sunday at the latest. It looks certain for Friday, though. So that's 2 sources that were claiming that the album was dropping this Friday, the 15th of March. And then Joy Boy comes into the situation and backs them up as well with his information. And then after he said this info about the release date, he would come forward with the New Body information. And we should be all clear with the fucking time travel. Joy Boy, though, he would say this. The album is coming after Rolling Loud. And it is coming from the same source who said the information towards the Rolling Loud set list. So it was a very chaotic night between the sources coming forward and providing us with information about a release date, as well as the tracks being noticed in the TikTok and Instagram music algorithms. But it's the day after, the day of Rolling Loud, and once again, D-Lee comes forward that morning, doubling down on the info he said last night, saying that Ye and his team finished the album Vultures 2 overnight. Around the same time, too, the good-ass sub mods would get a message from somebody who apparently did some mixing work on Vultures 2, and they would come forward and share a DM between themselves and Ye, where Kanye would essentially say, we're going with your mix for the song Field Trip, sounds a lot more clear, and your mix has been processed already. Sounds like a whole lot of release talk to me. But then the mods would come forward with some other groundbreaking news. The good-ass sub-mods came forward, said they saw evidence that everybody on the team reviewed. That evidence in the source would essentially say this. Donda 2 and other unreleased albums in Ye's back catalog, such as Yandi and Jesus is King 2, specifically named by the mods in the post, they were being released to streaming sometime very soon. They were being actively loaded on streaming by Trackster and Mike Dean. Now, earlier this day, actually, a fan would notice on Tidal that on Ye's artist profile, the Donda Deluxe, which was the version of Donda that showed up in his album catalog, it was swapped out for the OG Donda album with the superior fucking tracklist, let's be real. They were essentially like, what's going on? Because it seems like someone's messing with his discography on his streaming page, and holy shit, that turned into something. People were freaking out though. They literally said like Yondi's gonna be on streaming. And 15 minutes go by and they basically say it's actually just Donda 2 and Dolby Atmos mixes of Kanye's entire released catalog. They weren't specific, the source wasn't anyway, when they said catalog. I guess there was some miscommunication there. So yeah, fucking crazy news, honestly. It makes sense why Mike Dean's involved if they're doing Dolby Atmos mixes of Ye's previous albums throughout his entire discography. But it begs the question for the Donda 2 tracks, like, what is the extent that they're finished? Are some songs that just have mumble, are they being uploaded? Time will tell. My prediction is, doesn't drop at all. Alright, so Rolling Loud just finished, and Ye and Ty for real went out there, played Volume 1, didn't perform it, and left. People are fucking pissed right now. Number one, this was promoted as a performance. Rolling Loud, specifically on socials, made the distinction of this is not a listening party, they will be performing live, and clearly someone didn't give them the fucking memo. But also, a lot of people thought this was going to be the launching point for Volume 2, like Ye and Ty would have the live mics and they would announce Volume 2 will be dropping this weekend, and man, they didn't even play any Volume 2 tracks. It really sucks, but the only benefit I could possibly see out of this, hopefully, is Kanye sees the negative feedback that people have towards him calling these type of events performances, because I don't really think you can call them a performance, and changes his mind about the world tour being strictly just the listening party formula. When it's a listening party for an unreleased album and Ye is premiering the songs live in an arena, especially when he used to do the really theatrical shows, like during the Donda rollout, like, there is obviously an appeal to that, and he's premiering the new tracks live to get the fans' reactions. Like, that shit's fucking awesome, and like I said, it used to be an iconic part of Ye's career. I really just don't see the appeal of playing already released music to your fans and charging them $200 so that they go through all the legwork of paying for parking, traveling, etc., just to watch you for 1 hour jump around on stage with a mask on and move your hands a little bit. That's not a fucking performance, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just say this, as long as people keep buying tickets for shows like this, he has no fucking reason to change the formula. But what does this mean for the album release, though? Because I know a lot of people are mad at Dealey right now, but he's not the only insider that came forward and said Vultures 2 was dropping on streaming this weekend. As shitty as the Rolling Loud show was, there's probably a reason it wasn't live streamed. And I don't know, man. It might not have any effect on the release of Vultures 2 this weekend. As the community's on fire, Leaky would actually come forward and reveal his DMs with producer KSJ Beats, who he worked on Beg Forgiveness off the first Vultures record and a few other songs. But he said some really interesting shit. Number one, Leaky showed that he said Ye has a finished verse on Field Trip. And also he said that the album Vultures 2 will be out Friday, which is the day y'all are seeing this, the day this video comes out, or tomorrow, Saturday. Popping in with a 4:30 editing update. This kid is allegedly 16, the producer. Needless to say, that doesn't disprove him just because of his age. He already has a fucking producer credit on a Ye album. That's fucking remarkable. But he's answering everyone's DM, so I don't know how legitimate he is. Take that with a grain of salt, as you should every fucking news. That's the one thing we should all learn from today. But if nothing else, shout out Leaky. Ye and Ty have an interview with Big Boy that they did yesterday that will be coming out the day this goes out as well. So maybe an announcement then. I don't fucking know. If the album does drop this weekend, I'll be back with a video after I listen to it a few times to give you guys my thoughts on it. But it's my advice, don't get your hopes up. I feel like some shit's gonna go down right after I put this video out because I just have that fucking luck. So if you want my thoughts on shit as it goes down before I can put another video out, because man, I'm gonna be up till like 5 a.m. again editing this shit and I'm fucking tired, man. Go ahead and follow me on socials, Instagram, just Casey Culkin, and Twitter, DigitalXDWNLD. But man, I don't know. Morale is fucking low. There's no event to look forward to in the future. All we can really do is wait and see over the next 72 hours what really happens. Will Donda 2 drop? Will Vultures 2 drop? We'll see.